Oh, very good. Happy, having fun, enjoying, doing, working, all sorts of stuff going on. So that's very cool. Very cool.
So fill me in. What are you working on?
We're making that course, another course. Uh, well, finished the capital D diplomacy one, which I'm very happy about. So that's pretty cool. And then
Very.
also, I like that course. It's not, it's, it's not a huge course, but it is a huge course. It's not long in. It's only
Content.
4 modules. It's not overly long in slides ways, but there's so much in them. It's very dense. It's cool stuff. So yeah, anytime you want to do, we can do. But obviously, I prefer to finish the hearing first. Um, and then also did another one on freedom from anxiety and worry. So it just more simple, more basic. I'm, I'm I'm kind of almost thinking that it might be sufficient to just be done without Zooms. So I'll see, because it's a very common sort of stuff. I know it's very basic, simple stuff in there, really. I mean, basically, I give the worry pots a hard time. I kind of
Mhm.
put pressure on them a little bit. It's just like, come on, seriously, where's the logic here? Where's the point of it? You like simple things like, if you're worrying, you're assuming that the negative probability is going to be true when there's just as much chance of the positive probability being true. Usually more chance, actually. And then when the things happen, this used to be my mother used to get on and talk to a friend on the phone like once a week, and they'd have this whole, big long chat gossip session. So anyway, they will always be worrying about something. And then the next week, the thing that they were worrying about, came and went and it didn't happen. They never updated. That just fascinated me. The thing you were so worried about, that it was always time related, typically, something that they were in the upcoming week going to happen. And it never did. But never ever did they say, oh, we're worried for nothing. Not once. No, they just found something new to worry about.
Is
So
Beena with us?
I think she went to eat. So
Wow.
I think
I
she's
didn't
there eating in the room or something, but she never eats in the room. But yeah, yeah. I don't know if she
I,
can hear us or not. She doesn't have a headset. So.
I didn't want to be rude. I wasn't sure if she was with us or not.
No, no, no. No, I would have said, or she would have said. So
I thought so.
yeah. They said she'll be back, in 5 minutes. Oh, that's a good quote for should. Should is the leash of the masses.
Shoot. What is it? I didn't hear.
Should is the leash of the masses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a pretty good quote.
It
I'm just
is.
looking for, while we're chatting, I'm adding in comments, quotes in the program. I'm just kind of finishing it up, So I was looking for a should quote to add in. Yeah, very cool, very cool.
What would
So
be your
yeah,
introduction course to Way of Impeccability? Is there a course that you could offer for free to the group to kind of get them in the door and then offer the others?
that's a very good question, and I think Sue's sort of also keen on something of this nature. I don't know. I don't know if this is possible. None of these courses really. Um,
How about the anxiety and worry one? And just
that
related to the times we're in, maybe.
yeah, this might be the closest. Hang on, I'm going to screen share and show you. Yeah, and then you tell me. You tell me. So hold on one momento.
Just an observation of other
Yeah, yeah,
Facebook
yeah,
groups. They offer an introduction to get
yeah,
people kind of
yeah.
a sense of what it's about. And then you would offer Way of Impeccability at a certain time for a certain number of people at
Yeah,
a certain cost and do it the way you want.
yeah.
And
In the private subgroup, right?
right, right.
That's a good well, kind of what we are doing on the live in terms of motivation is kind of an intro in there.
What was
Uh,
the intent of your live discussions? I wasn't sure.
actually, my intent was to promote Daniela. She, she's affiliated and she has got her programs and stuff. And yeah, I like her, and she's doing something good and nice and wonderful. And I enjoy chatting with her. She's got a very positive vibe. It's like you. If you were doing something, I'd be really keen to promote you. But also in this case, that um, by through promoting her, which we will next week, we'll start talking about her. She just kind of switched it up and interviewed, sort of did a mini interview on me, but really the idea is to talk really about motivation, because she made this, offered a free course, and everybody says, I'm interested, I'm interested, I'm interested. And then when she says a link here, sign up, or PM me, they don't PM her, they all, and Frauke said the same thing. They all just and others, they respond, I'm interested, and then don't follow up. It's very peculiar. So this is what got us into motivation and application. um so I was keen to get into that and draw some awareness to this issue, because it doesn't apply to her, it applies to all the people that are doing this, all the affiliates. But it wasn't from that point of view. It was more just in the interest of it, but also in me promoting her program and her, I get to kind of see how people respond to it. So I can use it as somewhat of a test case to do exactly, lead up to gaining the information and the data that will enable me to say, okay, how to connect, what do I need to do in order to get people really to be interested in doing the program. So yeah, it's a peculiar thing. It's very strange and weird how this works. So anyway,
Well,
that's
like
what got
what
started. It.
I can share from my perspective personally with Fraka. A lot of her classes are during the day, which doesn't allow, and people don't take the time in their busy lives to say,
Yeah, yeah,
to explain all of that to a person. They'll just look at it and say, oh, it's Tuesday at 10, I'm working. And then they let
yeah,
it go.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
the other thing too is sometimes I've noticed a big leap. Like people will offer a very brief introduction to what they're doing and then say, please sign up if you're interested. And you say, yeah, I want more information. But what you're looking for, your intent is to garner information to see if it's a fit. Where they're
yeah,
hearing,
yeah.
oh, they have an interest, they're going to do this. Well, no, the intents are very different.
Yes.
And then they
Yeah.
don't offer that information. And then people are sort of put off by, well, I didn't get my information to make a decision. So then they make a choice to let it go.
Yeah.
That that's just a perspective that I've
Oh,
noticed.
that's very potent, Donna. That's really, really potent. And I agree. That's kind of one of the reasons for doing the live. Yeah, I'm using the energy and the enthusiasm and the connection with Daniela to do more, and to get going. I've been wanting to do Facebook Lives for a long time, but when you're busy and you got a lot of other stuff to do, you don't always get motivated. So, all right, here's a motivation to do it. Yeah, it's always easier for me to do something for someone else than for myself.
Well, the
It's
intent
never a
from
bad
an
habit.
observer point of view, if you'd like me to share that, I'd be happy
Please,
to.
please, 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 please.
One, I did not get that intent at all so far, that it's
Mm,
to
mm,
offer information or share information about her program. And
right.
two, when you speak, I don't, in hearing it, have a sense that she has the depth of understanding even to be able to ask the appropriate questions.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you watched the first one. She was a bit more engaged and asked a few more questions on the first one. So she switched it up. We started and we had topics and we were going to talk about motivation, and she even made notes. But then when she said, I want to ask you, so I think she feels she wants to introduce us more. So it's okay. I just run with it. It shifted in the intent. It shifted from, that's what started. It's morphed into something else a little bit now. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm quite happy for her
Okay, but
still, but she's
here's the
comfortable with
thing
it.
with the fine. I feel like it's fine, but you might want to consider from a listener's point of view, she's an interviewing style and depth of a certain
Yeah.
level, and what you're talking about doesn't match
Yeah.
her questions or the
Yeah.
depth of her questions or the insight that
Yeah.
she's even getting from what you're saying. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have your
I
interviewer, you want your interviewer to have the same depth as you so that they ask the appropriate questions so that your audience is really seeing the depth of way of impeccability, not psychology 101.
I agree. I agree. So, I'm just letting it run a little bit because this is a test for me also to practice and exactly what you are saying, to feel and shift and see where it's not appropriate. I realize it isn't, but I'm happy to let it run because it gives me opportunity to merge into this thing gently and gradually, which is great. I quite like that, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, next week I'm going to really be focusing on her. So it wasn't intended for it to necessarily be where she's asking us questions. That wasn't the original intent. I'm not sure why she felt the pressure to shift this way. I do feel that she's sort of realizing that she's a bit out of her depth, and that's fine. That's okay. So, that's why she's shifting it onto us, and I'm okay with that. So I'll feel it out next week and see where she's at. If she is in the spot where she's feeling out of her depth and feeling a little overwhelmed, then I won't interview her. She can just be a participant and ask questions, and in terms of understanding more. Right. So then I will be addressing her, have a conversation with her about her wanting to know more about whatever. And then we can really get into it. Then she
Right.
will essentially be the member of the people who were typing in chat, you see, and then I'll use her to just be the voice of them. And then
Right.
that would be very effective. Yeah.
Right. Well, from an audience standpoint, you
I love this,
will be
Donna.
able to effectively shift your questions of her to introduce her and what her course offers so much more easily. And it will be felt as an audience member in hearing. You'll be able to focus on what you're both saying and have it be a natural flow. And if she's feeling hesitant that she's into something that maybe isn't the depth of her understanding yet, it will come, and she just has to trust and trust in you that you're going to adapt so that the audience is hearing her course the way it needs to be heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's a bit shy too. She said she'd never done a live before. So I think it's just her way to get a bit more comfortable,
And there's a lot of good coming out of it. There's a lot. Okay, so I'll shift to the side. That was just observations,
I love it. I
feedback.
love it. This discernment, this assessment, the section is just too fantastic, Don. It's very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. Thank you.
What I feel like is coming out of it is I have seen. Oh,
Can I
yeah.
pause you 1 second? Just
Yeah.
say hello to Beena. Beena, hello, Beena.
Yes, hello,
it's
Donna.
Beena. Hi, Beena.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. Good.
You were there and then you left, and I was like, where is she?
You know what I did? I woke up and I think I was half not really fully awake or whatever from resting. And I was thinking, oh, wait, there's something at 6. I got to get on to Zoom. And then I was on there. I was like, what? You need to go to Facebook and just listen. You don't want to participate.
Yeah. And still, and during the FB Live, still was saying, yes, Donna, and Donna was not there. And I was like,
no, I just want to listen. So wait, I'm on the wrong medium.
No,
I thought you just hadn't updated the Eastern time yet, and you were coming for the regular time we have scheduled for you, because that would have been in the winter time.
Yeah,
that would have been the time, you see.
No, I was just half asleep, and I was like, 6 o'clock.
Brilliant.
I gotta get on and hear.
Okay, I was listening what you guys were sharing about Daniela and about this whole FP Live thing. My perspective, first thing is a kind of a you can say that it's a privilege we have, that because we are providing this platform to other people. This FB Live also, and Sil is participating in that big time in FB Live. So it is always a kind of privilege we have, that we can, and if we don't want to, way of impeccability comes in. And it's not bad. It is good. It is appropriate that, okay, it has come in because this is the group Sil has made. And so it is like, okay, if we take 20% of the time about talking way of impeccability, It's fair enough. Second thing about Daniela, because depth is something, yes, might be, might not be there. But being live on Facebook is a big deal. When people asking you questions, you are looking at the live streaming, and also be conscious on the camera, and you know that there are many people watching you, and they will ask you some questions. So it's a big deal, and it's in the beginning it happens that she's a very nice and gentle person. So, but I'm not sure about the depth she didn't have or not. What I'm feeling that this is a new experience for her, and it was, yeah, sorry.
It is new for her, yes.
Exactly. And the second thing that she how it is shifted, she said that that because we are going to do this hopefully regularly on every Friday, so it is a kind of a building up the introduction to who we are. And this is a very, very amazing and smart strategy she's having. First, she introduced Sil. So the first one was about Sil, how he got this, and she asked questions, and Sil was elaborating big time that all these things. Today was expecting to be about her, but she said that I'm not feeling comfortable. I want to choose next time if you can do this, Beena. I said, okay, because I don't have any repo kind of thing in my mind that, oh, I need to be prepared. Okay, and I cannot, whoever, whatever it is. So when she said that okay, just we will talk about the self-conception. But because every single time when we start talking, way of impeccability and other concepts comes in. So it is of course it is hard to avoid that. So when she asked question, she was deliberately trying to be focused on the self-conception topic. She asked me that, Beena, what do you feel that? And still suggest, okay, Beena, we were talking about the self-conception because it was in discussion with two members of participants of Way of Impeccability. So why not talk about this? I said, okay, self-conception, because it's fresh in our mind. And that today's FB is supposed to be, and then she says, I will ask you personally how you started all these things. So she is building an introduction to the series of FB Lives. Hopefully we are going to do every Friday. So first it was like just a bit introduction. It was a whole introduction about Sil in the first FB Live. And then in the second, she asked me, I shared a bit about me. I don't have much, so it cannot be long. And then she asked about the self-conception. But these topics they are not hanging in the air independently. They all are connected. So we have to say a bit about the connectivity, that how it makes sense. So Daniela was not asking much question, but her questions for me was quite appropriate. And she looks a bit overwhelmed, but she is not actually overwhelmed for me. It is just that being camera conscious first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think, Donna?
That makes perfect sense. And I appreciate you sharing that. It gives context to a little more, I have a little more clarity on the intent and her strategy in getting there. I can offer an audience perspective, and I can offer a person that's gone through the Way of Impeccability perspective. And they're two very, very different perspectives. And so I was listening from a lens of purely an audience perspective. And the first one, I felt like the flow was, I felt like we were going to talk about her program. So that was sort of a seed that I feel like was planted in. And so it filtered my view of it, because I had that seed planted, and I was trying the best that I could to just observe and be an audience member. And I felt like there was a lot of content, and I was glazing over a little bit in some of the answers with the length of them. No offense intended. I'm just being real here. That was just my perspective. And I felt, looking at her face, I sensed a bit of overwhelm. And so I think it was a combination of my filter and then just trying to observe the best that I could from an audience. And then the good part about it was towards the end, the flow was getting better. She seemed to be more comfortable. And that's what it's all about. It's a lot more than just the content. And I recognize and I'm aware of that.
Okay, just for my clarity, Donna, you were observing as an audience, independent audience, or a participant of Way of Impeccability?
No, I was trying to, like if I was a person that didn't know about Way of Impeccability as an audience member taking in information. And I was like, oh, I want to begin self-development, self-improvement. There's a live, I'm going to check this out. I was trying to do that.
So
But to the best that I can.
Okay, so as an independent audience, and you see all other participants or audience comments, they were asking questions and they were getting value out of it. So what answers?
Oh, there was a lot of value there. Yeah, absolutely there was.
And what you were feeling that what is specifically, which answers were lengthy?
I just felt like when she was asking about Sil and his program and things, they're like a typical audience member with a live session, and Sil, you know this, they've done studies of how long people's attention and focus can be, and it's pretty short. And so like the key elements in a live session feels like, for me, only from my perspective, like the key point needed to be made and then moved on in a live session. Not necessarily the same approach as a Way of Impeccability where you're doing takeaways and in-depth conversations. And so that balance, I feel like I know I myself would struggle with that. How much information do you give in a live session where you're making your point, but not too much where people are glazing over because you're using the same approach as you do with Way of Impeccability? It feels like they have two different approaches that are necessary. And, you know, trying to balance that, I would think would take some practice and trial and error. And, you know,
but this is, I want to know that, Donna, just specifically give me one example that which answers you were feeling that, okay, that was really long, unnecessarily wrong. You can say that.
I think probably all of mine, at least in the first session particularly.
Yeah, yours in the first session felt long, quite honestly. And
but
she was having a hard time facilitating, and I felt as an audience member, she was based on her, I can do better. Hang on. Based on her transition questions, it felt to me in my gut that she was struggling with where to go and what was an appropriate question so it flowed. And I think part of that struggle was the depth of understanding, but also it was her first time and this, that, and the other, and probably 10 other things that I'm totally unaware of. So none of that discounts it or makes it less valuable. And I'm not offering it all this feedback or my perspective as negative. Is just simply
this is good.
Perspective.
This is good, Donna. But I was thinking about today's session.
Okay, today's I didn't watch much of it. But I did hear her asking you questions and your responses. And keep in mind, Beena, my perspective in talking with Sil initially, and this is where the seed was planted, was that she was there to introduce her courses and you guys were sort of supporting. So that was a filter that I had, and I'm totally aware of that, which clouded some of a unbiased viewing of so what you offered today and what Sil offered earlier helped me kind of pull back a little bit and look at it from, a perspective that you had established that I wasn't privy to.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Donna, today I
it's
completely.
so peculiar. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, it is perfect what what you are sharing, because I was, at least I was trying to, whenever she was mentioning something, it is hard for us to not mention wave impeccability concepts. It is almost impossible for me. But
Right.
what I was doing when she was asking questions about self-conception, the whole story I was building was about that people are not, why they don't commit to, why they don't actually dedicate themselves to do that once they enroll themselves or something like that. We cannot directly pinpoint anyone, because she's a life coach, and if she start pinpointing other people, it will give a negative kind of an impact on her
Oh,
participants.
absolutely.
So
Right.
that's why I was building a story about that why people, because she was a bit disappointed when she came on and she said that I am disappointed because the way people respond, and then they didn't pursue that. So that's why the whole conversation, we were trying to not pinpointing anyone, because she has this stuff, because the participant she has, they might also see that Facebook live, and they will say, oh, she's cursing us, or she is like, okay, pinpointing us and all that. So we don't want to do that. That's why we were make it general that, okay, whoever you are, when you are reading book and all these things. But it was all geared towards her thing, that what happened to her. And it is a common theme. It is happening with Frauga. It happened with Frauga, and it is happening with all other coaches also, that people commit and then they don't pursue that. So this was the thing. And your observation, of course, it is necessary and it is important for me also.
Cool.
I want to
Well,
know.
Beena, I shared with Sil that last sentence you said. The coaches have a perception, and I'm choosing that word,
This is potent.
of that people have an interest and then they don't follow through. And if you have that perception when you're going into these live programs, no matter how backdoor you present the information, it's going to have a filter. And rather than having that perception, maybe if they shift it to, here's what I have to offer, those that are really interested, and if I provide you enough information to make an informed decision, or if I excite you enough, or if I resonate enough, or if your chakras are open enough, or whatever needs to happen for that person to come to the program, they will. But if she has a perception of disappointment and trying to have that be presented to her audience, because I can say, for one, and I just share this with Sil, this is just my perspective. So far with Wave Impeccability, the outside groups have a tendency, this is just my perspective, it feels like this to me, they have a tendency to offer information, and then you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, so you just say that. I'll write them back and say, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting to me does not mean I'm going to do your stuff. It just means that sounds interesting. I'd like to hear more. And then what happens so far is that finding that more information to make an informed decision whether I'm going to pursue it or not is not always given. And they want you to jump in and join. And there's this leap. And for me, if I'm feeling that way, maybe there's others that are feeling like there's just this leap with this gap. And just because
very insightful, Donna, very, very insightful.
Yeah, but still, in Daniela's case and Donna, in her case, people enrolled themselves. Okay, and she was not disappointed before. She said that I'm kind of a disappointed, but because people are not pursuing that the way it has to be. Like they do some task and then follow all of it. So this is something.
The same problem, Beena.
But that goes back to what I'm talking about. If they're given the information up front, and if things are outlined, and like with Jocelyn, I really enjoy him. I really enjoy her. And it's not a negative at all. There's just like, you're getting the information after you enroll, and then you're finding out, well, I've got 8 hours in the day and I have this choice and this choice and this choice. And now that I have information about this thing that I enrolled in, I'm choosing to not invest the energy and the time because it's not what I thought, or It's not proving that it's the best use of my energy or whatever. And if
Mhm.
that information was more thorough and given up front rather
Mhm.
than having the enrollment
Yes,
process,
yes. Okay, yes, I understand your point. This is also a perspective in that, and it's a very huge point. But there are also, we cannot completely negate this, that there are people who just commit and do everything. And when the coach or the facilitator or whoever completely engaged himself or herself in that, and after they said, oh, I don't want to do that, because they don't have their skin in that. So sometimes the lack of commitment, which is very much important, because not everyone commit themselves just because that other people have invested their efforts and energy into that. They need their skin into that, because it was in discussion with Sue also, because Sue was saying that Beena, I see that many times now. And I see people who are not committed because they didn't have that thing in that. So it is also the part of that, that sometimes free things, like in Daniela's case, it was a free 10-day challenge, sir. How much it is? Yes,
A 5-day challenge. I think.
5-day challenge.
But I think Donna's point is absolutely valid here.
Mhm.
That even the people who did sign up, they still may, once they've signed up, discover, oh, well, this is not exactly what I, thought it was going to
Yes,
be. And so
yes,
they're
I
not
said that.
prepared for it. I think this is a
Yes,
very, very fabulous point.
exactly, it is. It is.
So Donna asked me a good question, which I now have a nice response to potentially. She said, what is an introductory course to get somebody ready for Way of Impeccability? We don't have such a thing. And I was going to share the anxiety and worry course, but I'm thinking rather to make a course
Yes,
on the
yes.
problems of self-improvement. And the subtitle is how to know if a program is right for you, how to connect, understand what's valuable for you. I'll have to fine tune a little bit, but that's the essential gist of it. To explain what's involved with self-improvement, and then you basically the tasks and exercises are answer these questions. How much time do you want to spend? Are you willing to commit, etc., etc. Right? So, and they kind of spread out through the program. But also, I'm explaining why, if you deal with one thing, there's a thing that's behind it, and if you don't deal with that, then the thing that you're changing is just going to revert. And why you need to basically deal with the whole system rather than dealing just with parts of it. And, go into the mechanisms of emphasis and commitment and putting energy and all this. And to basically give an introduction of what is going to be required of you and what's involved, but do it as a course where it's you sort of, asking them questions. Is this what you're after? Is this what you want to do? Well, okay, if this, then that. And that way introduce Way of Impeccability.
self-improvement is such a huge area. And there's so many different ways to go. And Way of Impeccability is in of itself a gem. There's nothing else like it. So to kind of put it in a box of a self-improvement, self-awareness doesn't serve it. It's like it needs more reverence than that. It really
it's a
does.
life change program,
Right. And that's so different than a self-improvement. And there's so many out there that make self-awareness and self-improvement be this all flowers and dandy. And if you're really going to have a life change program, you're going to have pieces of it and get real about it. You're going to have brutal truths where you really have to dig deep about yourself. And it's not always going to feel good. And that's the crux of why sometimes people leave. They start to see those brutal truths and they don't want to commit. And the thing is, as a facilitator, I feel as though if I am trying to gear my information to get people to commit or to invest or have skin in the game, I feel as though I have a filter going in. And I want my filter to be the right people will come, the right people will stay. And if people leave, then that's what they needed to do for whatever the reason, because no one, including myself, knows what those reasons are and will never know. Never.
Yeah, I understand your point here. And this is how it happens in every business. for me, this whole concept of appropriateness and about this being a practical philosophy, that this thing is not out of this world. So people who are doing this, they also investing a lot of time and energy in that, and they also are living. So it is about their living and their life also. And when it is for me, it is also ethical. That, and you, Donna, you are absolutely right on that. That people assume that it is going to be in that way, and I'm going to take this. So these tits bits of kind of a thing, yes, it is going to disappoint all the coaches all the time, because this is how things works. So yes, we have to take this filter. Like, okay, yes, people will come and do that. But my point again, it is about that we need to cue people that what you are doing here, you are not okay, because they mostly, it's not like, okay, in my experience, but I see that people want to know, they want to learn and grow, but they don't want to invest financially. This is the problem.
Well, sometimes it's financially, sometimes it's emotionally, sometimes it's time. It's
Yeah.
all different kinds of things. And
Yeah.
and it's
all
hard to
include-
find, they can throw out that it's financial. I mean,
But
and they can say it and they can sound really earnest when they're saying it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the crux of it is finances. So it's really hard to know. So that's why I feel like I would throw it all away and not even concern myself and just offer it and trust in the universe and trust in myself that the right people are going to commit and stay. Let's say, for example, like I'm not doing Zoom right now and I've not been actively involved in the community. Now,
Mhm.
there may be a perception that
Mhm.
I'm not committed to this. And none
Mhm.
of you have any idea how much I'm applying, how much I'm talking about Way of Impeccability, how much I'm sharing it with other
Mhm.
people, and how the additional time is allowing me to really hear conversations. And, you know, it was a choice
Oh,
that I made for me that
Mhm.
from a perception standpoint might look very different than what's actually going on. That's why I feel like don't waste my time on what I think's going on, or if people are committed or not, or if it's finances or not,
No, no.
because it
Okay.
doesn't matter. None of that matters.
It does
I
matter,
could
Donna.
give you
For
a big
me, it
hug
does
and a big
matter.
kiss
No,
right
it
now, Donna.
doesn't.
I absolutely would, by the way.
Pardon?
Sorry.
So if I could give you a big hug and a big kiss right now, I really would. Yeah. Truly, you know,
Okay.
in terms of your just sorry, 1 second, Beena. I just wanted to
Yes.
say, I
Mhm.
do feel and I did trust that Donna is involved and immersed in application. What you said,
Of course.
this is what I do feel and did feel. So, you
Of
know,
course.
I because you did it before. And I said, this is fantastic. It's really cool. So, you know, I
Of
do
course.
feel,
But
I do
I feel
appreciate
that,
that.
Donna, it does matter. Personally, for me, it does matter, because it is about my personal, in my personal understanding, that when we have in a professional world, we all are at some point, we all are doing some business or job or something. We feel that other people have to inform us about these things, that okay, they are not going to be in that way, and what are the reasons for that. If someone is coming and going like this is not a professional way either. This is not an ethical way. I'm not talking about you, Donna, because we know what you are doing and you told us every single time. So please don't make it personal. I'm just
No, it's
saying,
not personal, but what I'm
yeah, as
saying
you mentioned,
related to me is that's what other people could be
yeah,
doing
because
as well.
yeah, no, but yes, I assume in my good intent, I can assume that okay, they have all sort of impeccable reasons for that, but they also have some sort of responsibility towards this, to inform me. And why? Because I was committed my time and energy and everything for the whole month, that okay, they are going to come and they are going to do this and we are going to, I was not making appointments for that. So it is also their responsibility to fulfill that. It is ethical, like duh for me.
Is it ethical, or is that your sense of ego, your little ego self talking and saying, wait a minute, people, I'm investing my time. You better do the same,
No,
doggone it.
no, not at all. Not at all ego. Why it is ego? Because
I'm
I
not
am
saying it
committed.
is. I'm asking the question.
Yes, so it is not ego
Because
at all. It is
if
not
you
ego
go
at
into
all.
something and you don't care that the other person is investing, I'm so struggling with this myself. That's why I can talk about it out loud.
Okay.
So
okay,
you don't care about what they're investing. You're purely doing it from your perspective and offering what you want to offer, and whatever outcome, whether they
So,
commit or don't
but
commit or
Donna,
whatever.
but Donna, again, you are an anomaly, because if you are doing this for yourself and you will come and you will fix your time that, okay, yes, these days and these times, these hours, I'll be here. And when you will not come, or even if I will not come or still will not come, you will not bother about that. You will say, okay, it is what it is, but not other people. So you are an anomaly in this case. So I'm not considering you as an example here, because this is very different. Other people, when they are coming here, okay, like Ryan, he's coming, right? Like Janelle, she's coming, Sue is coming. When they are committing their time, I'm also committing my time. I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for the month. I have appointments that, okay, they are going to come and we are going to do this. I'm not making other arrangements. I'm not making other engagements. So it is kind of like ethical responsibility for both sides. For me, you are an anomaly in this case, because you will not mind if I will not be here.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you
I
say
think,
that
I think
Because
that
the thing
that's
is-
different though, Beena. That
Yeah,
to me
exactly.
is common courtesy
Yeah.
and
yeah.
and
Exactly.
articulating what's going on. That's
Yeah,
not a commitment issue.
right.
That
it
feels
is
different to
commitment.
me.
It is
Donna,
commitment.
you and Beena are not talking about the same point here, actually.
Yeah,
But Beena
no.
didn't specify her point when she started talking. So it seems like she's talking about your point. That's why I was just saying, Beena, reiterate the actual point that you are talking about, because it's
No,
not the same.
because we were discussing about the commitment about Daniela's course, and we started with that, and I'm still on that why people don't commit. And Donna made such huge points that they feel that they are willing to do that, but once they enroll themselves and they see, no, this is not worth, and they leave. And then coaches in their mind, they have this perception that, okay, these people are committed, but in actuality they were not. They were just testing. I got Donna's point in that. So I understand that. And this is simply amazing, because I never thought about this, that how these things work. But I was just saying that further on, when they commit and when they see the value and then they enroll, and not only that, they start doing that. And after that, they're just like, no, I don't want to. And then a coach or a facilitator or whoever, if they feel that they were committed and now they are not coming, it is a bit disappointing for them. And Donna saying that, no, you don't have to do this. We have to, like, okay, no, we have to, but we do. Yeah. Because
Well, that disappointment is coming because they have expectations. So if they shift their filter on their expectations going in, there won't be any disappointments. That's on them.
But Donna, it is actually ruining my time schedule also, my energy also. It is disturbing. No?
No.
It is. A facilitator or a coach. It is.
No, it shouldn't. I'm not going to say shouldn't. I don't feel as though it's like God. It's like when I'm going to pull out the God in the Bible thing here. It's like, I think about unconditional love and God, talking to the masses. He didn't care who listened. He didn't care who came back.
Absolutely, he didn't care, because
No.
he didn't have any need. He is not living in this world. He is not using internet. He is not paying rent. And so the old gurus, they were sitting on Himalaya and they were not doing anything. So they can be there all the time.
If we can come as close to that as possible, then we won't have suffering, and then we won't have disappointment.
No,
I can't do it. I'll admit that.
Again, you are an anomaly, Donna.
No, I cannot. Please don't say that. I'm struggling with this myself.
No, but you are also doing the other sides to maintain your physical body.
One moment, Beena, I want to hear. What did you say, Donna? I missed your comment. The last thing you said.
I'm struggling with this point, is what I said.
Which point? Which point?
To be like God.
Right. Yeah, because I'm here in a physical body and I know that stuff, but to be it and be in relationships is hard because that old programming is so there. It's like you really have to be so aware every single second and integrate a godlike structure in a physical world that's not ready for it. They're not.
Wow.
I'm not there. That's why I was saying that, Donna, your example is not valid because you are an anomaly here. Because you know that people, okay, you are doing also, we have to maintain this physical body. You are doing exercise, you are doing your job. I'm doing this, I'm eating, I'm taking care of my body and all these things. This is how we live. We can be in at some point, yes, at certain point, we can touch a bit of not connected to anything, but not completely, not entirely till we are in this physical body and this physical world. And this physical body and this physical world needs some sort of appropriateness.
Well, I have a knowing that nobody's going to shift because I'm stubborn as all stubborn can be. No, because it's not my knowing. That's why I know I can rely on it, because there's no logical reason. There's no experience that I can say, oh, I've seen it with my eyes, therefore it is. It's just, I feel as though we're moving towards an earth experience on this earth, on this planet, where we have a choice, where we can experience God-like unconditional love and ways of being in a physical body. And I don't think it's ever been done before.
Yeah, but okay.
It's like having a Jesus, but Jesus is just Joe, and he has a job, and he's bringing his wisdom and all of that to everywhere he goes, and he radiates love and light. And it's instead of it, he being Jesus and this person that everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's so unique and different. He's just Joe, and there's more and more people like Jesus Joe. And everybody's light and love, and it's just radiating, and you have a choice whether you want to do that in a physical form or not. That's my knowing.
I understand, and I completely really appreciate that. I want to share one story I had with the president of Arts Council. We had this 10th Urdu conference. It was an international conference and a huge deal. People were coming from England, from Yorkshire, from America, Canada, everywhere. And it was a huge event. But what happened at the last moment, that President Arts Council decided to introduce other languages also, like local regional languages, Sindhi, and okay, there one conference about this, one going there. And people were saying that we were doing this for 12 years, we were doing that, and this is the biggest event for Urdu language in the world, and now you are actually instilling, I don't know how to say that, inserting all these things in, so you can manage others. And when the President Arts Council, he's a very blunt man, he came on stage, and everybody was sitting, and the chief minister was of this province was also sitting there, and he was a local language speaker, the chief minister. And he says that okay, I have made some decisions because I have to I introduce this language also in Urdu conference event. And he asked, the guests were sitting in the audience and on the stage, and he says, oh, look at this Raza Abdi, he's coming from Yorkshire. He came from Yorkshire, and you came from Canada, and you guys came from this and where. Says that to invite you here, to provide you a stay and arrange all these events, I need money, because I want my new generation to hear you guys, to experience your company, to see you guys, to know about your work, to know about my language. And the money was coming from the government, and the government was of local language. And the chief minister sitting here, and he says that, okay, you have to give tribute to my language also. So I had two choices, either just shut down everything, and I said, oh, this is the old I was doing, okay, no more, or make some appropriate choices, because I want to introduce my culture, my language to my new generation also. And for that, I was in need of money. So you cannot completely eliminate your passion with practicality. This was his words. And this was really, really insightful for me. because what he was saying, he was compromising few things, and it was not a compromise. Okay, in that situation, it was a compromise, but sometimes it is necessity to spread this wisdom to a larger scale, comparatively, not to whole world, but just to reach out people. Like I was sitting in Karachi, I had no means to reach out to you, to Sil, to Sue, or anyone. For that, I need internet. For that, I need a laptop or a phone. For that, I need electricity. I need a place to be, at least sit there and listen to you guys. These are the means. I need that. And for this, Sil also need that. This internet, these are the mediums. Before it was people were traveling, used to travel days and weeks and months to reach out for someone and just sit and listen to them for 1 or 2 days and then go back. But they were getting value. This world is different. For me, it is different. Now we need these means to reach out people. We don't have thousands of years to live in. We don't have that world anymore. The world is changing. So are means, so are mediums. And this is a very, very instant kind of a world we are living in. Misinformation, limited knowledge, which is very harmful, and is all over the place. So it is a responsibility I feel for the people who are impeccable to reach out to other people, to be somewhere. It's not about ego, not at all. No one can judge anyone for this, that it's about ego. No, it's not about ego. It's about appropriateness. I need these mediums to be in reach of other people because I want to learn and grow. And for that, I need appropriateness in my world.
Said it better. Beautifully articulated. Totally agree.
I'm a bit lost. I'm not sure exactly what the precise point Beena is trying to share.
Oh, I do. I got it.
Then you say, I'm lost.
Well,
Please
say
share, Donna.
Donna.
You do the recap. Yeah.
Yes, Donna, please do that.
What I heard Beena saying is exactly what I was saying. The world is changing. And there's all levels of awareness of those changes. And those who choose to live their life to the best of their ability in an impeccable manner have a responsibility of sharing some of these changes that are coming about and being the leaders really in getting that information out there. And we have a responsibility to do so. And the reality of it is we live in a physical world still. And our mechanisms for getting that information to people are through the internet and through conferences and things such as that. And so at this moment in time, there still is a need for the financial freedom to be there.
Yes.
Have the ability to use what we have in place at this moment to do that. That's what I heard.
Wow.
Okay, Donna.
Cool. Very cool.
And my point is, if for heart-led corporations, for example, executives and CEOs and things like that, that truly run their business from their heart, they still have to balance the practicality of having a business at this moment in time, which involves overhead. You have a business, you have structure, you have people working for you, you have salaries. At this moment in time, all that is still there. I feel like there's going to be huge transitions where that's not even in place, but we're talking about this moment in time. So how are heart-led executives brought together that have a perspective about business that is significantly different than how it's been for centuries? How do you do that? And there's people out there doing that. There are people that are getting together that have truly a perspective that would align with way of impeccability and choosing impeccable ways to structure a business. And so that's the type of heartfelt people that I want to align myself with, because I myself can't build the city, but I find it curiously interesting that as long as I focus on the city and just what it can serve and what it can bring, and I trust that it will be built by someone, somewhere, someday, somehow, but I just focus on the intent of the city and how that city looks, and how, like I was talking yesterday, there was somebody that said they wanted to do holistic integrative medicine. And for some reason in my head popped this word dimensional healing, and that's a whole different perspective. And so you have to use whole different words to create a whole different vision of what that can look like. And so the city isn't my city, the city is our city. And if I stay connected to the our city, and if I stay connected to the intent of it serving, then I just feel like I know the right people will be involved in that. And that's where we're moving to. And the piece that's the financial piece is, the reality is you have to have money to do that. Even if I had a small group of people, like-minded people, you still, at this moment in time, have to have the financial means to get there. And that's the reality of where we are now. So how do you move towards having those means until possibly there's a huge shift and all of that changes? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but right now we are where we are. So how do you do that? And I think a lot of it, coaching in and of itself has some major shifts. And if a coach is coming into, I'm investing time and energy, and the other isn't investing time and energy, then they both have a choice to make. They both have a choice to say, well, that person that I'm coaching is not investing time and energy. Is that worth my time and energy? But not take it personally, just from an energy standpoint. Say, I show up, I'm here, I'm on time, I'm investing energy, I'm focusing my energy and what I do during the day into this relationship we're establishing. And if the other one isn't, not to take it personally, or not to say, I'm not going to spend time with you. You're just saying, for myself, this is not a good use of my energy. And I think a lot of coaches look at it as, well, you're not worth my time. And you're not like they're taking it personally and saying, well, if you aren't going to do what I expect you to do, then I'm, versus, no, for me, when I look at this situation, I'm choosing that this is not the best use of my energy. And that has to do with personalities too, and just being human still. Some people are going to look at it as, I don't really care how much energy and time, I'm here to do this no matter what, and it doesn't matter. Good for you. I'm not one of those yet, but I'd like to be. Or there's going to be, well, I only have 8 hours in the day at this moment in time, and I have these relationships that are very important to me. And I'm choosing, for me, fertile ground that I can, yes, learn, grow, and enjoy, but do it in fun and not in suffering and disappointment. And I think the difference is your perspective going in and your filter going in, the choice you're making. Are you choosing not to engage because that person has or hasn't done something, or are you looking at it for what's best for you? That's how I feel. That's where my knowing is at the moment. Now it could change tomorrow, but that just seems to make sense to me.
So, Rana, correct me if I'm taking it wrong. If a
There is no
person,
wrong.
no,
I'm just kidding. I'm just
your
kidding.
perception.
I'm just kidding.
No, in my understanding.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something and then I decide, okay, now I have other things to do in my life, or if I'm not following it completely. For other people, which I have choose to share his or her knowledge, and I'm not following completely, is it still appropriate for me to do this? Just pick and choose that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm not going to do. Is it
From my
appropriate?
perspective, the difference is you're basing your choice on what's the best use of your energy. You're not basing your choice because somebody else is or isn't doing something. It's just a
But-
factor that you're adding into your choice for you. It's not being determined by what that other person is or isn't doing. That's the difference from my perspective.
Okay, so like if a person come to Way of Impactability, just suppose that, because I don't have other example for that, and then they start doing that, and then they say, okay, no, I'm not committing myself, and okay, I am not feeling comfortable with that because it is giving me stress. This understanding, this awareness is giving me stress. So I'm not going to discuss this, or I'm not going to do this, but instead I will start applying all other things. And if me, you, or Sil will say that, then it's not worth my energy to work with you because you are not taking it completely. Is it appropriate or not?
I feel it's not quite that simple. There's a lot of things that go into it. I'm just saying as a factor, what other people do or don't do shouldn't be the motivating factor that coaches make decisions.
Because
I
feel
think that filter, I think
Uh-huh.
that filter is limiting. Because I
Okay.
feel like there's an expectation that, okay, I'm going to expend my energy and my time and I'm going to coach you. And whether you want to admit it or not, if
No,
somebody
but
doesn't show up every time or whatever, common courtesy is that they would. But if they choose not to, if the expectation wasn't there, you'd be fine. There wouldn't be any
Okay.
disappointment.
But-
The only way
but-
disappointment can be there is if there was an expectation.
Okay. So now we are coming to the just to specifically to the disappointment. Yes, that feeling. But the instructor or a coach or a facilitator will be appropriate to say that I'm not going to continue this anymore because I don't feel that comfort. Yes.
I feel like you have every right to say that if that's the right thing for you.
Yes. Yeah, because now it is for me when I'm doing everything and you are not completely trusting that, okay, whatever I'm suggesting or sharing with you, and you are picking and choosing without testing it, and you are discarding that, oh, it is stressful for me, I'm not going to do this. Then my thing, whatever I was about to share with you as a complete package, will not be there. So I will not feel comfortable because I know that the connectivity is so huge. If you are picking and choosing something and some not, it is going to create a chaos. So I will have every right to say that no, I don't want to continue. Now it makes sense, but I don't need to be disappointed, feeling disappointed. Now I got it. Okay.
Very cool.
I don't really, that really isn't my perspective, because how do you determine what the other person is feeling or doing or saying, or
Because
how do you
because we were in a commitment that we are sharing and we are going to do this. And if a person is not doing and saying that that okay, this is something is stressful for me, I'm not going to do this, and but I will do the other. So it is something I have compiled, so I know the connectivity, I know the importance. And if you are not trusting me completely, then we don't have any relationship. Then it's no point to do continue that. Yes.
Well, what are you basing that on? The fact that they're never showing up, or?
Because no, I'm not saying about showing up, I'm just saying now about that, saying that okay, I'm going to do this part or this thing because it is stressful for me, but the other parts are comfortable, so I was doing that and I'm doing that. That's what I'm saying, that because it happens when it comes to uncomfortable, which Sil
Oh, the
calls.
Way of Impeccability program is a life-changing program. And I feel strongly in saying that for 99.9% of the people, if they truly engage their heart and soul, because it changes your soul, you're learning soul lessons, it's not going to be all pleasant. And people are
Yeah.
either going to be willing to push through that unpleasantness or they're not. And as a
But it
coach,
was-
what I'm saying as a coach is you're not going to be able to make that decision for them.
What
And
decision,
if
Donna?
it
Sorry.
consistently shows that they're not able or they don't want to, there's no words, there's no context, there's no slides, there's no graphics that is going to make them engage in a manner that's going to change their soul.
Exactly. Exactly.
So no, but it was in consideration. It was in not consideration. It was in suggestions that way of impeccability program to cut something out and insert something in, and because this is not necessary, this is not important, this is too much, this is too easy, that kind of things, a lot of other things so involved in that. And it was like, okay, so just customize and compile that according to their comfort level.
Oh,
It
I
was-
wouldn't compromise. I wouldn't compromise what my soul was telling me to do for somebody else's comfort level. You have to do
yes.
what's in your heart and what's right for you. And then the other has a choice on whether they can make it compatible in a way that works for them.
Absolutely.
Like for me, a lot of information overwhelms me. For 99% of the people, they may need the immersion of that, and I may need it too. But I don't, in that moment, see that. All I see is chaos and overwhelm. But if I
Yeah.
push through that, I might see it. Ooh, I gotta go.
It happens with me all the time.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Yeah.
still pushing through a
Still
lot of
pushing.
information.
It's still pushing, then it's still doing this. This is the problem. That's why I was saying that, Donna, your example is not valid in this case, because it's a very, very different situation you coming from. This is a very different understanding you are coming from. But your point, amazing, that yes, okay, we have this right, that we don't need to feel disappointed, because it is a kind of expectation which is creating that disappointment. So yes, a disappointment must, okay, I don't like to use this word, but yes, I have to. This must not be there because of expectations. But I have every right to discontinue that, because for this type of sharing, this deep learning and growing need really deep commitment and trust. And if a
Okay,
person is not trusting you
It does
completely,
need deep commitment and trust. And then I gotta go. I'd love to continue this because this is really, I'm learning a lot.
Love-
The
love
the deep commitment and trust can't be determined by just you, because then that goes back to you have expectations. So it's a
But-
balancing
but-
act.
but-
You
no,
have
no, no,
every
it's not-
right to choose
uh-huh.
to engage or not to engage, but
Yes.
it's got to be like a collaborative kind of agreement of how you can both work on it, so it's mutually a growing and
Yes.
learning experience within
Yes,
something that
yes.
works for you both.
Yeah, but discipline, it was not expectation, Donna, it was about discipline. And some sort of discipline is necessary, otherwise everything will be chaos. So yes, discipline is something. It was not expectation. I understand completely, and I agree with that. That yes, expectation part was not right, and it is not appropriate, because it creates disappointment and all these things. So if
gotcha.
there is a disappointment,
So
then
you're
it means that
saying somebody
But
has to
discipline is
have a
necessary.
level of discipline, and that's
Yes.
okay to say that. I
Absolutely.
feel that's like perfectly okay. You just articulate it and you say there is this level of discipline that's needed, and there's a level of trust that needs to automatically be there from the beginning, and you
Yes.
have to be willing to blindly trust in this process
Not blindly.
until what?
not blindly, not expecting blind trust.
Well, when
But
you're
trust
first
is not
meeting
trust.
somebody, it's pretty blind trust with Way of Impeccability. When you're first starting out and when you're first meeting
Ah.
somebody,
Yeah.
you
But
know,
Donna, I think that people come when they see the value. Otherwise, no. It's not a blind trust for
well,
them.
you can
See that
see
trust,
value in
full
something. You
receptivity.
can know something is extremely valuable, but if the pain associated with the program is greater in their
yeah.
perception, than the
Yes.
value in their perception in the value in that moment. They may have an inclination to pull back. That's just
Yes.
human nature. Okay, I
Yes.
gotta go. Good
Yes.
stuff. Good stuff. I hope you guys are around later. I'd like to engage
Oh,
more
yeah.
later.
Yes, please
We're
keep
on all
some.
day. We're on all day.
All
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Okay.
Bye.
Please do some,
Later.
Donna. Okay, Bye.
Love
Thank
you,
you so
Donna. Love
much.
you,
That was
Donna.
so
Thank you.
Beena. So. Love you guys.
See you later. See you later. Bye bye, Donna. Bye bye. Wow, so beautiful. I'm so pleased to chat with Donna again. I miss you, Donna. I miss you. I miss you. Really miss you. So very cool.